So this webinar series being conducted for 5 days from today to Friday. So every day 11 o'clock we will start. About 1 hour sessions will keep on going, followed by question answers will be taken up. So I think you might have seen the titles which we have included in this webinar series. The first day title is Waste Utilization in Construction, CSIR CBRA Experiences. This will be delivered by my senior colleague, Professor S.K. Singh, followed by fly ash utilization in sustainable geopolymer concrete production by engineer Riazur, and then utilization of C&D waste for building infrastructure applications by Dr. Shanta Kumar. Sustainable utilization of paper industry solid waste in construction by Dr. Prabhat Vasist. And then last day, sustainable lightweight building products and technologies from waste by engineer Rajesh Kumar. So most of the lectures will be delivered by my younger colleagues of our institute, which are taking larger interest in giving the technological outputs and its knowledge to you all. I hope this topic is going to help you all in a bigger way, especially on latest developments which have been taking place in the country, especially by research organizations like CSIR, CBRA. Now I request Professor S.K. Singh. He is also one of the mentor of this webinar series. I need not to introduce him. He is a versatile personality. He is known by many of you. I request Professor S.K. Singh to deliver his lecture as a first topic of this webinar series. Professor S.K. Singh, may I kindly cover the session, please.
Thank you, Dr. Dhamraju, for giving outline about the today's webinar. So it's a 5 days webinar, and I'm going to discuss how that waste has been utilized at CSIR, Central Building Research Institute at Roorkee. So I will not be able to cover all the waste whichever has been utilized into the constructions, but many of them I will touch upon, and somewhere I will discuss into the details. So thank you, Dr. Raju, for giving this one. And fortunately, being at CBRI, I am working on different type of waste, which include from construction and demolitions waste, as well as steel slag waste and lime sludge waste. So we are working on different right now into the CBRI, and developing a cementitious binder as well as aggregates and other materials. So
Professor Singh, going to be Singh Saab, kindly introduce yourself, because you are a mentor. I could not introduce you. Introduce yourself, please.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'm, I'm S.K. Singh. I'm heading a cement concrete composite group as well as polymer plastics and composite at Central Building Research Institute, Roorkee. I started my career from Structural Engineering Research Center, Ghaziabad, where we worked on different building materials as well as bridges. Then on deputation to National Highways Authority of India from 2000 to 2005 as a project head for different national highway project at Agra as well as Allahabad, where I was being instrumental to implement bypass greenfield project, Allahabad bypass, about 85 kilometers long. And later on, I shifted to Central Building Research Institute in 2005. And from them, I am here. I am working on different building materials, particularly if you look into that newer cementitious material, and constructions, demolitions waste, repair, rehabilitations of structures, and several other topics which is being of the interest of the nations. So we are working, we are providing continuous services to different industries, including CPWD, NBCC, NTPC, and other PWD and other organizations. So it is my brief introductions. I have published 3 books and being publishing one more, published more than 78 research papers in reputed journals and some conferences. Also, you know that I used to organize several seminar conferences, but presently we have come out with the online system. It is called webinar. So yes, that is a good, and I'm thankful to Dr. Dhamraju. He's a good friend of mine who has given me this opportunity to deliver my presentations today. So thank you, Dr. Raju. Can I start my presentation? Okay. So
yes, Professor Singh, please go ahead.
Okay. So from window. Yeah. So you know that today I'm delivering on different materials where we are using. You know that people talks about that what is the waste and how we should be utilized in a more effective manner. So that was the things. You know that several places people used to say, if waste is put on the wrong place, so it will be waste. If it will be placed at the right place, so it will be the resource material. So we are working continuously as a resource material, and so that it can be utilized effectively and efficiently into this one. So okay, yeah. So how you can make it clear? Thank you. So today I am going to discuss about waste utilization in constructions and what we are working. Most probably majority of people, you are aware, CBRI is such a area where you know that we are working in all the fields within the one roof. If you look into that building materials, if you look into the geotechnical, structural engineering, energy efficiency, architectural, you know that organic materials, so much area we are working and within the one roof. So it is a proud privilege to be working here, and we have been. So you know that how we are going to convert waste into the wealth, that is a very important thing. So if you look into that waste, if there is a waste, so we have to analyze what type of components, what are type of compositions are there. So accordingly, those compositions we can work on those waste materials. So and then we can collect it, transport, segregate, recycle, and then dispose. Again, whatever the disposable material, until it can be analyzed, and if it will be useful for particular places, so we can have it. If you look into that, different types of waste are available. Usually people types, they say that is organic waste, then another is just recyclable, or that type of waste, another is the industrial waste, and C&D waste. But here I have been given a categorized as industrial waste, which is being a big problem right now in our country, because a lot of land filling space is being occupied by them and it is not being used. And next one is the construction and demolitions waste. Again, several million tons are being available, where you know that industrial waste, that is a fly ash, bottom ash, iron and steel slags, tailings, different type of tailings. If you look into the mine tailings, copper tailings, and stone dust, lime sludge, stone slurry, fluorogypsum, red mud, etc. If you name, though all those wastes are being generated and being as a disposed as a landfill. So majority of those waste, and it is causing a lot of problem, environmental imbalance and other things. So we have to continuously work on those materials so it can be as a resource. Similarly, on construction and demolitions waste, wet and dry, I'm talking about the organic waste, which is household and other waste. Presently, you know that e-waste, that is the electronic waste, is becoming big problem for the country. And you know, we are being using different types of electronic gadgets and other things which is causing, you know, problem. Then biomedical waste, nowadays if you look into that, a lot of PPE kits and masks, etc., being thrown away everywhere, causing a lot of hazardous problem into the drains and other areas. So that is the things. So, and last but not the least, that is the hazardous waste, the nuclear and other type of where a lot of leachings, which is causing environmental problem in air as well as in water, groundwater, etc. So all those things we have to work. I'm not going to touch all those waste, but I will touch definitely a few of that industrial waste and C&D waste, which is being we have worked continuously and being utilized into the construction sector. So I'm coming this S, that is a fly S, bottom S, pond S, whatever you name. So these are being once upon a time, if you look into the early 90s, so it is being considered as a toxic waste. People used to say, later on people say, no, we can say it's waste. Then again, it has been treated as utilizable, you know, recyclable waste. Then later on, people start talking, you know, after 2005 onwards, it is a resource material which can be utilized into the construction efficiently. And if you look into the cement industries and other places, they are utilizing about 40% of these utilized fly ash are ash into their cement production. That is particularly, they are also adding in this pozzolana cement, PPC, pozzolana Portland cement. Another is called composite cement, where they are using this fly ash as well as ground granulated blast furnace slag. So that is being waste remain waste in the wrong place, and then waste become resource in the right place. So we have to look how we can make it as a resource, or we can make it as a wealth for the country, for the world. As a little bit I'm going how that is being, you know, that we are mainly dependent on thermal power, and which is being this thermal power, that powers get generated with the firing of the coals, and very high level of coals being fired in our country, and that the coal quality in our country is continuously going on very poor or very high ash content. So those things been generating a lot of ash into this one. But what are the challenges into utilizing this fly ash? So you know that initially, if fly ash, if you look into that, how much reactive material, so that it can be utilized as a pozzolanic material into the cement ECS binder. Or if it is not reactive or not pozzolanic, then it can be utilized into the earthen filling, or you know that in other places. So but major issue is the fly ash is a variability in its composition. It's not only that it's varied from source to source, but also within the source it varied a lot. So we don't know how to be looked into. So knowing about that particular fly ash, you have to have characterized it in a systematic manner, so that you should know what type of its properties where we can utilize gainfully, efficiently. So those we can process, and different type of processing doing we can have. I have already said that if you look into that poor quality of coal, about 28%, but if you look into 80, it was 30, 90, 45, and you know, continuously, because you know we have a limited mining area, coal mining. So initially we have been mining to the good quality coal, then later on we are utilizing or beneficiating those coal to make it more thermal efficient. So those are the issues, so that we have large quantity. Right now, if you look into that, about 250 million tons per annum fly ash being generated by different thermal powers, and out of that, only 60 to 55 to 60% is utilized. So balance is more than 100 million tons are being disposed of into the ponds, into the ash dikes, etc. It is being a big issue to the country. If you look into that, whatever 60% being utilized into different area, majority about 40 to 43% being used into the cement. That different cement industries, they are milling to that to make it a particle size more than 4,000 centimeters square per gram, and so that they can blend into the OPC, or they are being milling along with the clinker, OPC clinker. Next one is the bricks, where CBRI has played a very important role into the developing PPC also, but we have carried out different producing these bricks, that blocks, tiles, etc. And another next 10% is reclamation of a low-lying area. If you look into that, mines and other low-lying area being reclaimed with those things. So mine and low-lying area being reclaimed. Presently, government has emphasized to use into that road construction, particularly embankment. I am fortunate enough that I was working in early at Allahabad bypass project. So at that time, that code was in draft, and I have modified all the BOQ utilizing those fly ash, or you can say pond ash, into the making embankment of National Highway number 2, particularly Allahabad bypass. It was about 85 kilometer long. So that was the system where we have brought those pond ash from Uchahar thermal power and utilized into the construction. And I have worked along with the consultant continuously so that it should have a shape, no breakage or breaking, because there was a code, but we have carried out further studies into the laboratory at the site as well. Also, that little bit amount being used into other area, particularly agricultural, producing low heat concrete or high volume fly ash based concrete and other. But we have to work more and more towards utilization into the producing concrete, that is known as a high volume fly ash. Particularly, we have to be worked on utilizing maximum pozzolanic based cementitious material. Days has gone where we are using ordinary Portland cement. So these are the some experiences I am telling. More than 3 to 4 decades back, Central Building Research Institute had started working on not only that cement-based fly ash bricks, also it has worked on making burnt clay brick, producing on that so we have started mixing fly ash into the soil and started making those bricks, burnt clay, and also stabilizing these fly ash into the as a cementitious binder varying from 7.5% to 10%, and different type of bricks has been made with that fly ash based brick. And presently, that at that time CBRI has developed fly ash brick making machines, etc. Also, we have worked on roads, particularly embankments and other area. We have worked on high volume fly ash concrete. We have gone up to the 70% fly ash replacement into the cementitious binder, and achieve M20 and M30 grade of concrete into the laboratory. And next, presently we are working and a high volume fly ash can be utilized into the geopolymer concrete, or we can say cement free cementitious binder, that is known as a geopolymer. I will briefly tell you about the geopolymer because it's a new material, and where that other things we are working, and some last more than decades, more than 10 years, we are working on geopolymer binders and concrete. So, but my younger colleague will going to deliver tomorrow on that in a detail, so you can discuss on this. Then management, as pond management, and how that reclamations of those ponds. And that very important thing, that we are continuously providing to the different industry services on characterization of fly ash. Which type of fly ash suitable for the cementitious binder, which type of fly ash suitable for the road construction, and all those activities we are working. Also, that newer development, I have already told, we are working on that, unlike geopolymer and other new materials development. Also, that CBRI has been was used to run up to 2015 fly ash based mission project that is called NVIS. That is a website where all those data are being collected and processed and disseminated to the people regarding its generation as well as utilizations. So that if you start work on particular waste, so your mindset is going to change. Initially, you look into that, yeah, it is a waste, maybe it work or may not be work. So if you start working, I'm happily, because to share with you, in an embankment in highways, I found some problem. There was some clay and other things. So I added those fly ash, and to make it more better embankment with the CBR of 5 and 6 value. Initially, CBR was coming 3 to 4 or less than that. So adding those things, mixing properly and optimizing the moisture concrete, and then achieving the density. So these are the major issues. So only my mindset we have to change. We have to look into that. This is not a waste. We start thinking it is a resource material and we can utilize into the constructions. I'm talking about this. CBRI has continuously provided input that is on fly ash brick, embankment, road construction, mine filling, soil stabilizations, particularly adding and making more compact and those things, making building products, precast blocks, and all those area we have proudly working for last 30 years and continuously providing services to the nation as well as to the industries. This is a very new area. I will just discuss a little bit, but yes, this is we have started in a high level of quality, quantity fly ash into the making a geopolymer, and we have worked on geopolymer road constructed. Not only 3 years back, we are continuously providing, and also we have made paving blocks, hollow blocks, bricks, tetrapods. It's a very good geopolymer concrete into the marine as a marine structure. We have developed a geopolymer self-compacting concrete, reinforced concrete, precast element, few other areas we are working along with the NTPC of pond ash as well as bottom ash utilizations into geopolymerizations process. So that this is the way we are continuously working in this one. There is one view I'd like to say for the geopolymer. I will tell little bit how we have proceeded into this one. If you look into that, some 3 years back, we made a road into cement-free geopolymer concrete road into the CBRI with the all specification of Indian Road Congress. Next was made at Dadri, because it was both the road project was sponsored by National Thermal Power Corporations. Then another is Ramagundam. Then we have also worked on pumping of geopolymer concrete, means there is no cement. Then we made a different type of building products. Also we have made lightweight building products, or you can AAC block, aerated autoclave block with the geopolymer, and different type of building elements. And we are making full-fledged in a near future building also into the CBRI. So those area we are working into that. So, that I have shown that where we have carried out actual demonstration to the site on different building material. And before going I am aware that very few people is aware about the geopolymeric concrete. My, that younger colleague will deliver in a details, but few basic important things. People say, that we could not have a proper reaction into the geopolymeric materials, but you should know how when it is going to react, what type of fly ash you require, and how what type of quality control during our processing is required during production of those products. So I will briefly touch upon that. So this is it's been because we are aware that ordinary Portland cement is being produced mainly calcination of calcium carbonate, what we say limestone. उसको we do a calcination, means उसको high temperature पे, then it is been converting into the calcium oxide and CO2 being emitted. So usually in our country nowadays, that all that cement manufacturer has made their manufacturing plant efficient, but still 1 ton of cement, OPC, ordinary Portland cement, is producing about 0.75 ton of carbon dioxide into that. If you look into that holistic approach, about 7 to 8% of greenhouse gases is being generated from the construction industries, and out of that, majority is being generated through the ordinary production of the ordinary Portland cement. So it is our time so that we can work on minimizing those greenhouse gas emissions. So this geopolymer where no cement is required. And also next good green material is we are utilizing the byproducts, that is a fly ash, sometimes GGBFS and other material. So overall production means what we say embodied energies for this material is very, very low. It has a very durable, conserve natural resources, and also that we provide our that eliminate the requirement of dumping grounds for our waste material or resource material. So it is been great. Advantage is that we can have a very early strength. Within 1 day we have about 30 MPa if you can require, or 20 MPa for 15 to 20 MPa within 1 day. Very low shrinkage, low permeability, and very important, it's a very durable against to the aggressive environment if you look into the high chloride content or sulfate content area. So it is a very good, and we can rapid control setting, hardening. It's and the most important is thermally efficient, means it's a very low thermal conductivity as compared to the conventional cement concrete, and very good fire resistant. It's been stable even at 800 degrees centigrade. And utmost important is no water curing is required. If you look into that in a cementitious binder, if you ordinary Portland cement or that everywhere we required water for curing, because that with a lot of heat of hydration is getting generated during the reactions, and water is required for hydration of the cement particles. So those here in every panels or every reaction, water it get generated from those reactions. So in a cementitious binder, we are required water for the hydration, where here reaction is being producing the water. So we won't required any water for this one. I'm not going into the details, but yeah, definitely geopolymer has been first developed in 1970, and it's not a polymeric, but it is being formed in a chain compound like a zeolites or polymeric material of inorganic compound. So that was the basic difference with the polymers and geopolymers. Usually 3 things required: alkaline activators, usually whatever we using, but we have used different type, but sodium hydroxide and sodium silicate for the activators, and for aluminosilicate, which is a very important for reacting, for binding, that is fly ash and ground granulated blast furnace slag. So we are been making those into that, but we have worked on different other materials, on metakaolin, mine tailings, as well as on steel slag. I will come to that. So look into that. Aluminosilicates we are getting from where? Fly ash. Fly ash is mainly consists of silicon oxide, alumina, and sodium oxide. So it is not hydraulic, or it is being pozzolanic. But if it will be reacted with the alkaline activator, so say sodium hydroxide and sodium silicate. So here we are increasing the alkalinity and external silica. So these are the producers has been becoming geopolymer, that is called NAS, sodium aluminosilicate polymer. But for this we required a temperature about 60-degree temperature, so that for these reactions, so some energy is required to make this one. To avoid this one, how it can react on ambient or natural temperature, so we started adding into that aluminosilicate in also along with the fly ash GGBFS, where those silica alumina is being converting into the CAS, calcium aluminosilicate hydrate. So where we don't, so that getting energy which is being used into this generating this alumino NAS. So those are the basic difference between ambient and temperature cured system. So here if you look into the model mechanism, every reaction there you'll be initially for making first where we are making a dissolution of our aluminosilicate, where we are adding sodium hydroxide or sodium hydroxide as well as sodium silicate. So we need water. So for dissolving those silicates, this is coming from fly ash, from GGBS. But every reaction is water is being coming out. If you look into that in my slides, it is being, so dissolution, gelation, reorganization, and polycondensation. This is the reactions usually take place into geopolymeric actions. I'm not taking into more and more towards the technical, how this ion linkage is being occurring, that is oxygen, alumino oxygen, oxygen, silica, oxygen, different type of chains, and there is a very strong bond is being occurring into that. So if you know that more water will be there and that less water will be, different type of situations on polymerizations may occur. So you have to look into that. Again, I am not looking, my colleague will look into that. But one thing, it is a very important for morphology of fly ash. So you know that we are aware that fly ash is being made with the smooth sphere or spherical particles, and within this sphere so many fluorosphere is being presented. So you know that you have to look how much its reactive part, or we can say its pozzolanic parts are available into the fly ash. So pozzolanic, or we can say glossy. Only this glossy part which is available into the fly ash plays a very important role into the reaction. If it will be reacting with the available into the cementitious binder, then it could convert into the calcium silicate hydrate, means this silica acting with the calcium hydroxide available into the cementitious paste, converting into the very strong gel of calcium silicate hydrate, where into, if you look into the geopolymerizations, this is being converting into the NAS, sodium aluminosilicate hydrate. So this glossy phase, this is a very important, and majority is being that if there will be crystalline phase, then it is the non-reactive. It is not going to react in any way. So that is a very important. So you should know, usually it varies glossy phase or amorphous phase from 35 to 55%. So if you want to know the reactivity, so if it has a more glassy phase, it has more reaction within the cementitious binder or the geopolymeric binder. If it is more crystalline phase, it has a less geopolymeric reaction. So let's look into that. So this characterization of particular fly ash or whatever you are using into that different places, you should get aware. So that is the utmost important thing here where we are working. So it's not in our country, but it's Queensland, Australia. They have made a whole building with the geopolymer concrete some 4 or 5 years back. They have made panels precast at their factory, transported. This is Melton Library Melbourne building. They fabricated at the site. Also, you know that a lot of sewer lines and other places, those pipes, concrete pipes, a lot of sulfate and other materials being transported into those pipes. So a lot of erosion and other things occurs into that. But this geopolymer is a very good substitute for those things. So also footbath and this is bridges. And we have made a road also, different type. So what are the current challenges right now for making, large quantity utilization into geopolymeric material or anywhere, for particularly look into the fly ash? This is the important that we should look into that, how that our raw material and its source, how much variation, how much its glossy phases, so, and control it, then we can have more. If you look into the geopolymer, so you have to make it more cheaper, you have to make a specification, standardization. Also, we have worked a little bit, also code has been made on sintered aggregate, lightweight aggregate with the fly ash. And those things I will show some figures, if possibly available at time. So we have worked on different area. I'm not going to tell all those things. Next, that fly ash I have told, and pond ash and other area. Next is a big challenge is C&D waste, construction and demolitions waste. It is worldwide. But yes, in our country, we have started, we have realized this is a big, and this is the main solid waste from the municipals. All municipal is facing big challenge disposing this solid waste, particularly constructions and demolitions waste. And if you look into the European countries, if you look into the Norway, they are recycling their about 98 to 100% of their construction and demolitions waste. But in our country, still we are dumping on different places. Fortunately, 2 plants are running in nearby Delhi. Also, one more plant is going to be commissioned near soon in Chandigarh. Few more small plants are coming on different part of the countries, Pune, Mumbai, and other places. But important thing is that why not we are utilizing those materials? What are the problems and how we can achieve? That biggest problem in our country is the quality of construction. That if we are admitting for life of buildings more than 55 years or 75 years, so it is being started deteriorating it much early stage. We can say it start deteriorating after 10 to 15 years because we have a poor ingredients, poor compactions and quality control. And so after few years, people are demolishing it and constructing new. So those demolition waste, and also on construction sites, different construction sites, a lot of concretes and other materials is being generated and they are collecting and dumping on different places. So this is the biggest issue, and we have taken as a challenge. I started working on this recycled aggregate concrete way back in SCRC in 1997. And a small crushing plant we established into that Structural Engineering Research Center, Ghaziabad, and carrying out from that time. And so it has picked up it last 10 years in India, and at least for low quality products, building products on pathway, or we can say blocks, or we can say paving materials, all those things is being started using those, as well as coarse recycle aggregate as well as fine recycle aggregate. And this is the things where we can have to look into that. I'm not going to that processes, but like if you look into the Japan, they have made the different processes. They have made the heat processing, because biggest issue with this recycled aggregate, coarse aggregate, fine aggregate, is adhered mortar. Those mortar used previously for making a concrete, those are used to be pasted over the aggregate. So these are been a lot of porosity. So those porous material had to be modified or make it to be stronger, or remove those porous material or make it strong. So different people and different processes has been carried out. And my new colleague, Dr. Santa, will tell you about this. And we can process, we have a different type of crusher, and first you segregate, and you remove all those dust, soil, etc., being attached with the concrete, demolished concrete. If there is a wood, this has been, if you are dismantling a house, so a lot of other materials along with the sanitary ware, some plastic, some wood, some reinforcement, those things you have to remove from that, and then you have to be process it. What I have said, that adhered cement mortar in aggregate, what we have shown in a blue, that is being a biggest issue. So what is happening if you are making with that new paste, so that existing paste is being porous and weak, so that new paste or new surface is not being much stronger. So we have to remove those, and different type of processing has been carried out. And presently, that with the different processes we have done in CBRI, utilized different type of block, brick, and other things. So we have worked. Also, we have made, and different. I'm working. I will show. Presently, that coarse aggregate has been also our code IS 383 2016 permitted up to M20 grade concrete. For higher concrete also they have utilizing replacement with the natural coarse aggregate. So we can utilize, but still a lot of problems is there. We are discussing so that we can start utilizing 100% up to at least M30 grade concrete into RCC, but some issues are there, so people are thinking. I'm not taking this one, but definitely this one is a very important. I have worked on this recycled fine aggregate. As we are aware that sand, river sand is becoming big issue. Mining of sand from the rivers has been continuously banned by the local industries, as well as NGT, National Green Tribunal, and other industries. So you have to look into that. So I started working on manufactured sand, on different type of manufactured sand. I started working. Started from the crushed rock sand to recycled fine aggregate to crushed steel slag fine aggregates and different type of things. And we started getting a problem. Also, we started working on coal bottom as a fine aggregate. So I'm just a little bit telling about this RFA. If you look into this scanning electron microscopic view, so a lot of porous material all over this fine aggregates are being available, because this is it is made of the probably with that actual sand or with the cement paste. So these are, if you look into that, usually if you have a good our crushing plant, so those aggregates will be within the zone 2 and sometimes come into the zone 3. This is the properties. And if you look into that, mostly because in river sand usually this silicon oxide is more than 85% or more than 80%, where in RFA it will be somewhere 70% or less to that, because a lot of cement particle has been adhered to that. But major issue is that very high water absorption of this sand. This is called recycled fine aggregate. If you look into the natural river sand, it's it's a very smooth surface due to continuous abrasion into the river, and water absorptions varies from 0.5% to 1.5 or 1%, where in RFA this water absorption is being varies from 5% to 10 to 12%, and also its bulk density is being and high level of silt content. So you have to utilize those things, or you have to account for those water which is going to be absorbed by this fine aggregate into the mixed proportioning, and which our code says. I am not going to this one. This is XRD, and okay. So then what I have worked on that, because this is a different system. Then I started working on particle packing density, and if you able to optimize, if you are able to optimize those things, and you can get rather than equivalent or little bit better a concrete utilizing those. So we worked and developed a new system for particle packing density system, and I'm not taking because it has been published. If you look into my papers, so on particle packing of recycled fine aggregate has been given. Then we have developed a relations. So this will be very good and very much fit with that. And if you are using those, and how much packing density you can achieve with the RFA, if you are aware its properties. So utilizing those, and we have utilized into the concrete as well as into the mortar. I am not taking, I have made, and we have economized also, means that cement content we have reduced using these new mixed proportioning system, and different strength properties has been established, and we are been proposing for the changes into the codal provision for recycled fine aggregate. So if you look into that, different type of processing or RFA is required, that sometimes people do acid treatment and other things. So pre-soaking with the calcium source, thermochemical treatment, and but whatever the methods, we have to look a very sustainable method without consuming much energy. So different type of green treatment has been carried out, and we found that the surfaces are phase more important, and strength parameter has been increased into that. Another waste material, we could not say right now waste, that is called rice husk plastics. So rice husk is being generated from the rice and this outer surface, and we have developed into our laboratory, and we transferred those technology as a rice husk plastic wood. So, and it has patented, and if you look into that, about more than 20 million tons per annum rice has been generated, and majority of that is being used as a firing material into different type of industries, sugar and other places they are being. But it is a very good material, can be used as an alternative for the wood fiber. So we have worked on that, and we made it with the polypropylene granules along with the polypropylene polymers, and adding with the rice husk, and by extruding, and this granule has been made, and those also you can made with the recycled plastic material also, that is a big issue right now. So those granule and different type of wooden materials can be developed and tested as per Indian standard for threading, screwing and other things. Also it has meet all the requirement initially it was National Building Code 2005. Presently it has been 2015. So it is meeting all the requirement. If you look into that, different type of products has been developed at CBRI, starting from profile, decking material, door window frame, and also that seats, benches, and different sections, I sections, and other type of different type of section has been protruded and had been used into that. Another waste is being a big waste are being dumped as the stone waste. These stone being, if you look into the kota stone or marble stone, they are cut into the different, and these are being dumped. Not only stone, if you are cutting, then its celery is being dumped into the different part, particularly in Rajasthan and other area. So it has become a big issue. So different industries and different people has worked. Presently, it's fortunate that this marble celery has been utilized. We have worked, and this is being utilized into the manufacturing of our processing of the tiles, that is a vitrified tiles. So several trucks have load up those celery. It is a very fine, and it is being mixture of water and this thing. So it has been, so CBRI has worked, some my colleague, and they are being fertile lands is being converted into that choking the drains and creating, and that sizes is very less. So it's varying from it's a very less, so varying from 1 micron to somewhere 300 micron or so. So it is to be used. And CBRI has strongly worked on limestone, kota stone, those dust, as well as in celery, and developed building products. Those are tiles, blocks, and other. Also on celery, we have worked on aerated. One my colleague will deliver. I'm not telling into that, but yes, these are being cheap and good. Also, you can make a designer type of tiles and other things with the cheap, and it's only that your mindset which can be utilized into, and those area has been commercialized. So these are the few things we have worked. So I'm not taking into the details. Let's next area is being new type of segment where CBRI has started working. That is called limestone, that is being as waste, calcined clay, and the cement. It is a low heat cementitious binder, and that reduction into the OPC clinker has been carried out by the 50%. So means if you are making 1 ton of this, so about 0.38 to 0.4 ton of CO2 is going to be generated by making 1 ton of this one. So this is being area where we have been working continuously, and we are hoping that this also that laterite, bauxites, and other red muds and other area which is being thrown after taking bauxite, alumina, and other material, and these can be developed into the building products, stabilizing by the little bit amount of cement, about varying different parts, and that cement we have varied from 5 to 10% and optimized with the 7.55 to 8%, and we have achieved a brick of IS brick 7.5 with the water absorption less than 70%. So in rural areas, those bricks can be utilized in making houses, boundary wall, etc. in this. Also, this is fertilizer, fluorogypsum and phosphogypsum, which is being produced. CBRI has worked and made efficiently a different type of binders, particularly putties, binders, plastering materials. With those after processing, that we have made a high strength quick setting binder, and that plaster, if you put it, it is quickly put, and it is mainly that phosphogypsum is a fertilizer industries or phosphoric acid where we are making, that has been generated. And those generations has been converted into the binding material. So otherwise it's a big issue. And those plasters has developed, and technology has been, whatever I'm showing, those technology, developed technology, different industries has taken and utilizing into that. So we have made the bricks and other building material. Ashok, this is the plant by Mrs. This is Navino Fluorine Limited, Mumbai. They have been producing capacity of 3 ton per day, and they have invested about 12 lakhs rupees, and about 10 man person. They are making a good plastering phosphogypsum based binding material and being utilized. So also we have made the tile, plaster, blocks, etc. And FGD, presently we are working on that, our colleagues, and they have this one. This is one of the area. Recently ministry has given a big project to different organizations. Also we have been working on that. That is called steel slag. There is a two type of slag: iron slag. This is mostly known as blast furnace slag. So blast furnace slag has a lot of amorphousness, and this has been utilized into the production of sulfate resistant cement or slag cement. So majority of the quantity, more than 80 to 90% being used by the industries, only very limit. But where if you look into the steel slag, that after processing the iron, then it will be converting into the steel. So those steel slag are being in India is 3 types. That is a BOF, blast oxygen furnace slag, or electric arc furnace slag. And third one is a ladle furnace slag. Rather than ladle furnace is a tertiary process, or we can say. And another is AOD, where we made AOD slag or stainless slag. So major problem is that these steel slag being produced about 12 to 15 million tons per annum, and only 20%, less than 20% is being utilized. Few issue with this steel slag. Again, I am saying presently this is a waste, and we are working and we are converting into the wealth. And that few major problem: it has a low reactivity, it has a very high crystalline nature, more than 50% crystalline material. So due to that, glassy phase is very less. And major problem is availability of free lime in a free calcium oxide and free magnesium oxide. So what is happening? These free lime we are utilizing to the aggregate, so it react with the water and expand and start cracking. So similarly, it's a low chemical modulus, so we could not work for, because less glassy phase and low chemical modulus, and we could not use as a cementitious product. So we started working on this area, and I looked into that different areas, that is we can use as a aggregate, as a cementitious binder, wastewater treatment, because it's a very high iron oxide, Fe2O3 and other things, so it's absorbed a lot of other materials. So we are using those materials. So we are concentrated on 2 areas, utilizing as a aggregate and cementitious binder, and we have characterized those materials. Look into that, how much it can have amorphous. We have carried out its quantification, and different type of, that what type of traces of titanium or chromium or all those things we have worked out, and how we can reduce the free calcium oxide, etc. We worked and started activating, and we have steel sag wash, then hydrothermal treatment, sizing, chemical activation, then adding into the clinkers. So we are making, and we have achieved by 30% replacement to convert into the cementitious binder. So this is the way. And another things, I have not shown that slide, unfortunately. That we have done electric arc furnace slag. We have treatment, 5 type of pre-treatment, and we found that if electric arc furnace slag kept in open for about 3 months, so that calcium oxide usually available free limes is available about 1% or so, can be reduced about 70% to 78% to 80%, means it's only 0.2 to 0.3%, and also utilizing as a coarse and fine aggregate into that. So masking effect, it is not going to leach any free lime into those concrete. So mask reducing, we have tried different methodology, starting from carbonation, heat treatment, that is that what is say that is uh, this is a vapor here, hot vapor, water vapors treatment, then carbonation, then autoclaving, and then we found that everywhere we are been consuming energy, but by natural. And 2 MTech student has carried out on this, and they submitted their thesis, and we have, and it is a very good, that this specific gravity is about 3.2. So it will be very good for marine structure. If you look into the tetrapods, so sizes of tetrapod for the concrete, where their that density is 2400 kg per meter cube, where for this electric arc furnace based concrete has density about 2700 kg per meter cube. So sizes we are been working, it will be going to be reduced much, and it we have fantastic into the aggressive environment. So similarly, we worked on BOF or LD slag, Lansdowne slag for fine aggregates, and it's worked. So we have trusted and we are utilizing, and government has given also big money for utilizing those as aggregate. And rather than based on our studies and other reports, Ministry of Road has allowed as electric arc furnace or steel slag into making road pavement into that embankment, into that subcourse as well as a coarse layer, means WMM and other area they have recommended, also in bituminous as well into the concrete. Next, my colleague will deliver this lecture. I am working on this, and lime sludge is being generated because, if you look into the paper industries are utilizing lime for recovery of sodium hydroxide. Then it is converting into the calcium carbonate. Again, it's inert. So we have modified this one and converted into the bricks and blocks. And that is a very good quality bricks and blocks we have developed. Also, we have worked on making a cementitious binder with this lime sludge. We have utilized 30% this lime sludge into making alternative cementitious binder. And also we have developed recently a putty, which is we are submitting for the patent. Also, that bagasse, sugarcane bagasse is being burnt, and a lot of bagasse has been generated into that sugar industries, and they are throwing it. It has a very high, silica content, and we can beneficiation of those bagasse because unburnt material is available, so we can beneficiate those things and convert into the building products. So those, again, I have told on Kota stone slurry we have worked, and different type of products has been developed. My colleague Dr. Rajni Lakhani is working on this area. So, and she has optimized and has different type of material, so, and also being demonstrated, and this one similarly. Also, we have worked on other materials, binders, blocks, fly ash bricks, sand lime bricks, and gypsum block, gypsum boards, and etc. So I'm coming to that conclusion to that. I'm not going to much time ho gaya na? So I'm concluding to that there is a different type of waste material where we can utilize those material into effective manners and convert into that wealth. And this is the need of our, if any waste is there, there is just some value. We don't know if we are looking at a waste, so it will be look like a waste. But if you look into that how it should be converted into the wealth or resource material. You have to work little bit and convert. Definitely there is a course, etc. Coming out. We are much behind to the development of codes, etc. Into particular Indian standard. Is a time consuming process, but definitely government is behind to that industries. Niti Aayog is very specific to make those whomsoever is generating a waste, they have to look into their utilization. So in these words, I am thankful to the all the listeners who has been looking into that, and I am opening this forum for your questions hour. Thank you.
Option.
Thank you. So you can ask the questions. I'm happy to answer. कुछ लोगों का उसमें भी आया होगा, बताओ जरा. Yeah, Subham Sharma, he has asked one question that what is the effect of fly ash on cement? As I have told in the initial stage, fly ash being a pozzolanic material, it won't work. But if there will be calcium hydroxide into the jet, when we make a paste, that calcium hydroxide available into the cementitious binder, it will react into this pozzolanic material, that is called silicon oxides, and convert into the calcium silicate hydrate, means very strong bond. So usually this fly ash being used in a very strong way. So people still, that code permit in Portland pozzolana cement by 35%, but government is thinking to make it, Codal IS is thinking to make it in a higher positions. Some Astos Rana has asked what is in a government sector. Definitely all the waste material has a great scope into the government sector. Government is continuously asking for a different ministry to modify the codal provision, modify the guidelines to utilize different type of materials. So those are being utilized into this one. Subham Sharma has asked one question regarding effect of fly ash on strength of the cement. Yes, initial definitely that strength will be lesser, but presently what is happening, not right now. If you look into the Portland pozzolana cement, they are making it more specific area, means they are grinding it before adding into the clinker or blending with the OPC ordinary Portland. Initially, definitely those fly ash has been, if directly used, have lesser strength in initial days, but it start reacting with the available hydroxide into the cementitious binder or paste. It start making a strength. So usually we say that strength should be taken criteria at 56 days. At 56 days, usually it has been found that strength is more as compared to the ordinary Portland cement of same nature. Yeah, so that Nivitha Balasubramaniam has asked regarding geopolymer, what will be the preparation of sodium hydroxide and sodium silicate mix. Again, I have shown you my slide about the chemical reactions. Usually, that sodium hydroxide to sodium silicate has been kept into the ratio of 2 for the activator, 2 to 2.5 to make a concrete. But that this requirement will be based on the available glassy phase or sodium oxide into the that fly ash and GGBS. So your ratio will depend actually, if you look into that, are your available materials. So you have to keep on that, and because we don't characterize our basic raw materials, and we are adding on directly, so always people say ki reactivity is less and other thing. So first you know your material, then one work on that. Uh, which sand, river sand or RFA will give again that Nalo Tumkum has asked that questions. River sand or RFA? Definitely, I have said in initial stage, river sand will give a better because it is inert, and it has a very strong, because it's coming from a lot of wear and tears. Its surface is nearly circular and good surface, strong surface, as compared to the RFA, recycled fine aggregate, which has a lot of porous material. But if you treat RFA, it will going to give equal strength. I have carried out on different type of RFA, and I have said if you can replace by 30% RFA with the natural sand, so a river sand, so it has no effect on compressive strength or other mechanical properties. But definitely, if you are changing with the 100%, strength will be lesser.
Scroll to the bottom. Bottom is scroll.
Why fly as big are made for mandatory it is a mandatory as per codal provisions to all within those 200 kilometers radius, but there is no control on private builders or this one. That if you are talking about NCR and other places, they have to utilize fly ash brick. But sometimes, if you are making individual houses and other things, that is not being, you could not, government could not come and ask and look into that. But definitely our self-consciousness or it's a self way to utilize those materials or fly ash brick. Recently, I am continuously looking and also on the site, because the producer of fly ash bricks, because that I told you that fly ash quality is deteriorating, coal quality is deteriorating, then fly ash quality is deteriorating, and they are directly using it to making those bricks. So sometimes those bricks has a high water absorptions and causing a lot of efflorescence and others. So I'd like to request to the manufacturer, and we have discussed into the Bureau of Indian Standard meeting also, they should at least characterize wherever source they are getting before making this one and this one. Yeah, there is only one disadvantages with the fly ash brick is high water absorptions and as compared to that burnt clay brick. But if you have a good production and good optimum utilization of cementitious and other material, this will be. Sir, that Bunsen curling down. Sir, one question about geopolymer. Why we don't need curing? I have that in a geopolymer concrete, that process, reaction process. Here what we are doing, that different type of compounds is reacting with the water and converting into the final products, which is called calcium silicate hydrate. There is a hydrate compound, calcium hydroxide, again hydrate product, and other those area in a cementitious. So whenever reaction will take, means one cement part on the surface is continuously react with the water and converted into the hydration product, where geopolymer there is no cement. It is activation of fly ash and ground graduated blast furnace slag are only fly ash, where we have silica and alumina. We are that activating those, and first we are dissolving, So at that time, activator, some water is required. After that, every step, if you have looked my chemical reaction, water is coming. But in this reaction, no hydrates or water things is required. So this is the best way to utilize into the road and other sector. So we can make it where that if you make a concrete road, some heat or wind, its water get evaporated, then your water available for hydration is getting evaporated. A lot of surface cracks, etc., develop on the surface, where this type of problem won't occurs into the geopolymer concrete. Again, I am saying this is a reaction based. There is a basic difference. Cement is hydration take place. Here the reaction is taking place. Geopolymerization. In hydration means we need water to make it hydrate. So, it will be the calcium silicate hydrate, or it will be portlandites, or anywhere that some water is required attached into their compounds. That Tumkum has asked, what is the cement content in geopolymer? There is no cement into the geopolymer. People are getting confused into this one. Geopolymer is a binder where we are activating fly ash and ground granulated blast furnace slag, or we can dissolving fly ash, or we can say silica and alumina into the activators. Activators will be different, but what we are using, our majority of people use sodium hydroxide and sodium silicate. So it is a geopolymer is a cement free material. There won't require any cement, so your hydration won't required. So be clear. I hope majority people can understand this is a material where won't required any cement. Anis Khan has asked that fly ash brick can be used into the, and definitely, I have already told, a lot of pores are available into the fly ash bricks. So it is a very efficient if you look into the for the thermal comfort. Nowadays people are using for internal as well as external wall as a AAC block, aerated autoclave block. So there has been air gaps, blocked air, not open, connected pores are available. It is blocked pores, different pores are available. So it is a thermally comfort. Definitely fly ash brick can be used into in all the climatic regions. But if you have somewhere heavy rains and other things, you have to make a proper plaster, etc. as compared to. There is no problem utilizing those things. Yeah. Any questions? I have tried to give questions on the chat. If any people can ask.
Yes,
Where?
in chat box.
Here. Yeah. Oh, yes. Geopolymer concrete can, I have shown the photographs, and we have made the roads, we have made the blocks, we have made the building elements, and we have made the tetrapods, that is for breaking energy into the sea area. Also that different type of marine structure. So this is a very good where also we have made a hume pipes. All those things can be used. Is any brick from waste is available for waste logged region for low? Yes, that those waterlogged regions presently, the silt in rivers are coming, and we have made those silts, that particularly in Ganga and other. So those silts we have stabilized. I am going to that technology coming out, and we can stabilize those silts and making for low-lying area or waterlogged area. Also, if nearby some steel industries are there, so we can use those fine aggregates to make those bricks, steel slag based brick, and it's a very strong and very good into the waterlogged region. It don't have any problem into that, so it can be helped. Dr. Draupadi Yadav has asked. Thank you. Any question if you have, you can ask also on. They can use a microphone. You can ask on microphone. Thank you for asking questions, and definitely whatever I can know. Can use fries brick in and uses that temperature and DC pressure. Okay. Yeah. Any question further? So thank you, friends, for being with me and available for this lecture. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Draupadi. Thank you, Prasant Dev Saini. Thank you, Tumkum sir. Thank you, Rahul. Thank you, Bansan. Thank you, Madan Sonkar. I hope I am able to explain, and my colleagues, because I have given an overview to all my CBRI activities. Thank you, Subham. Thank you, Puspendra. Thanks for this, for joining the session.
Sir, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, bye-bye. Thank you, Raju. Can you take over, Mike? Thank you, Yashpal. Thank you. So, thank you all. Okay, my colleague, thank you, Yashwant Patil. Yeah, Raju, will you go, please?
Sir, you are not audible.
Dr. Raju is going to speak. Thank you. If anybody has to ask any question, they can ask. But Dr. Raju. So, okay, thank you all. Dr. Raju, you are coming? Your Dr. Raju, your speaker is not on.
Sir, actually your microphone is not working. You need to go to the settings and select your microphone. So hover the cursor to the bottom.
Hi.
Look at the bottom right corner. There are 3 dots. Click on that 3 dots and then click on settings. In the settings, you can select your microphone. There might be a 2-3 option of microphone. Select one by one. The green signal just right side of the microphone will blink when you speak.
Yeah, Raju. Yeah, you can speak, Raju. No, it's not audible. डॉक्टर राजू बोल 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 बोलो थोड़ा सा कंक्लूडिंग रिमार्क
Okay, sorry for the mic disturbance. I am very much thankful to Professor S.K. Singh, who has made excellent presentation through which he has given different technologies available, and also different research activities on waste to wealth, which is being conducted in CSIR CBRA. Thank you, Professor Singh. Most of them have posed some of the questions which have been answered. Still, you have any questions? It can be, posted, which can be answered through email. I am very much thankful to each and everyone who have participated today for the first day session of this Waste to Wealth CSIR CBRI webinar series 5. Thank you one and all. We will join tomorrow at 11 o'clock. Thank you all.